The fire settles when the wind does, as if the two have an agreement older than my bones. Sparks lift and fade into the dark, and the smoke carries the scent of peat and damp grass. I have heard this story when the night was thin and the hills were listening. I have heard it when no one asked for it at all. Beyond the circle of warmth, the hill keeps its shape against the sky. Stones crouch where walls once rose, their edges softened by weather and waiting. The place is called a ruin only by those who do not linger. To the wind, it is still a mouth. To the ground, still a spine. A path winds up the slope, narrow and patient. Long ago, a keeper walked it each dusk, not to guard the stones, but to hear them. He was not a lord, nor a priest. He carried no blade, he carried a habit. At the hill's crown, where the fort's bones show through the grass, he would stand between two stones, set a man's arm apart, and wait for the wind. There was a quiet rule known in the valley below. If the wind rose sharp at sundown, doors were closed early. If it came slow and low, the hearth was left open. No one asked why. They had learned that the hill spoke without words, and words only muddied the listening. On certain evenings, the wind did not pass through the stones. It turned there. It circled, pressed, leaned. The keeper would count his breaths and note which way the grass lay. He would feel the chill along his left wrist, or the warmth along his right cheek, and he would nod as if to someone who had finished a sentence. 2 questions hung over those nights, unanswered and unasked. Why did the stones never sing when the moon was full? And why did the wind sometimes carry a footstep that never arrived? Seasons folded over the hill like blankets. Sheep learned the path and would not cross the ring at dusk. Children learned the rule by watching adults glance up when the air shifted. The keeper aged into the stone's color, his cloak fraying to match the lichen. He did not leave offerings. He did not kneel. He stood and he listened. Silence was not empty there. It gathered, it held. On evenings when the wind refused to choose a direction, the keeper would turn his head, slow as a clock hand, and listen to the space between gusts. A leaf might lift without falling. A bird might stop mid-call. The hill would seem to lean back just a little, as if making room. The repetition made the waiting deeper. Step, stand, breathe, count. The valley below slept with one ear open. Dogs did not bark on those nights. Fires burned lower, though no hand tended them. Once, and only once, the keeper broke his habit. The wind rose hard from the east, carrying the smell of rain that never came. He stepped between the stones and felt the air press his chest, firm as a palm. He lifted his hand, not to ward, not to beckon, but to measure. The pressure eased. The wind slid away. He lowered his hand and did not look back. I know that pressure. It has found me before, on nights when the hill seemed to breathe. After that evening, the watcher was no longer alone. Not in the way men count company. The standing stones began to hold a shape of attention. Where the wind curved, something else curved with it. Not a face, not a body. A regard, angled and patient. Those who climbed the hill at dawn found no tracks but their own. Yet the grass lay pressed in arcs that did not match any foot. The stones were cold even in summer. The keeper said nothing. He did not need to. The rule held. When the watchers came close, the wind learned new paths. It threaded through cracks in the rock and lifted old dust into the air. It spoke in short turns, never finishing a thought. The keeper learned when to turn his shoulder and when to stand square. He learned that the watchers did not want the hill emptied or crowded. They wanted it kept. The omen was not a sign of coming storm or good harvest. it was simpler. When the wind circled the stones and would not pass, something was being counted. Not sheep, not days, moments, lives. The watchers did not take. They marked. One winter, the keeper did not come. The path held frost, and no foot broke it. The wind rose at dusk and turned between the stones as it always had. Doors closed below. Fires burned low. In the morning, the hill stood as it always had, patient and complete. From then on, the omen was left to itself. The valley still watched the grass. The sheep still turned away. Children grew and learned the rule without knowing its words. And the wind still paused, sometimes, at the mouth of the hill, as if waiting for a listener who might yet arrive. The fire sinks now, and the night has leaned closer. The stones keep their counsel. The wind has not chosen a direction, and neither have we. If you sit a little longer, the hill does not mind. It has kept its watch through longer nights than this.